Hello and welcome back friends to another episode of Lynch Paints, where today I'll be showing you all how to paint the Clone Commandos and more importantly the Delta Squad. So grab your paints and paintbrushes and your blasters and let's dive straight into it. But of course, as always, before we get started, we're going to need a selection of paints, and these are all the ones I've used in this video today, alongside which we will need a medium-sized brush, a finer detail brush, and a teeny weeny teeny tiny brush for all those teeny tiny places. So the first step is going to be applying a white acrylic primer over the models. Then once it's dried, we're going to grab our Apothecary White, so it's a contrast paint. You can use sort of similar speed paints of other sort of brands and that sort of thing. And then we're going to take a nice medium-sized brush, and then we have thinned it down with just a tiny little bit of water. And this will help just to help with the flow of the paint. And we're going to apply it all over the armour. Once the Apothecary White, so contrast or white speed paint, is dry, we're then going to move on to our next paint. So we're going to pick up this Black Legion contrast paint, or again, equivalent speed paint of black and a smaller brush this time. We're going to start to go in between the arm panels and do the under armour. I want to try and be as careful as possible. I might even switch to a smaller size brush than this. So we don't want, just like I've done there, to get the black onto our lovely white. We can always go back over it afterwards just to refine it a little further with some white, but try and be as careful as you can. And if you do make mistakes, it's okay, because you can always go back over afterwards and fix them. So now that the Contrast Legion paint has dried, I'm going to take some of this null oil, and then with a very thin brush, we're going to try our very best to be as tidy as we can, and we're going to ink into the little gaps of the armour. So at this point, if you wanted to add in a little bit more depth, you can always just apply another layer of your speed paint over the whites. I won't be doing it in this video just because I want to get it done. So there might be some areas that when you've applied the wash into the recesses that may have overspilled a little bit, so we're going to just tidy them up now. So I'm going to grab this old white scar. And then again, just with a small thin brush, I'm just going to go over the edges and just help just to make them a little bit crisper and a little bit tidier. And also while we're doing this, we can then start to highlight as well. Do you know what? I think that is probably about done. Let's grab and open the new one. Ish. Need to mix that. That's better. So we're almost finished, and what we're going to do next is that we're just going to look at the weapons. So I've got some of the Storm Vermin fur, or generally any kind of mid-tone grey will do the job. And all we're going to be doing is that we're just going to edge highlight the weapons. So I have thinned it down just ever so slightly with some water, and then we're just going to run the brush just along the edge. You can, if you wanted to, use a small dry brush to do this. It is entirely up to you. Some of the panels you might want to sort of pick out, perhaps, and we might use some of this as well just on some of the under armor as well, just as a little highlight. Right, so moving on to the final step, we're going to be looking at all the blue areas. So that's going to be the visor and just a couple of the little scopes. So I'm going to take this Lothram blue or any kind of mid-tone blue that you have. Just going to thin it down with some more, so that's way too much. Try that one again. And then we're just going to sort of roughly, loosely, just add it in to the middle. Now the reason why I say to kind of loosely add it in is because I've got a little secret that I will reveal in a moment once I've done all of these. So the secret is that I have at my disposal this Guilliman blue glaze. So it's a bit of a discontinued paint. I can't remember how many years back they for some reason stopped doing their old glazes, but Guilliman glaze is really, really good. If you don't have this, then what you can do is water down a a dark blue, thin it down to somewhere between, so it's almost like a wash, but it's a little bit thicker than a wash. But have a play around with a separate model perhaps, or a bit of paper, just so then you've got the right sort of consistency. So I'm just going to dip this, and then we're just going to apply it in the visor, into the little corners and the recesses. So that way, it'll just help to blend it all in. So if you're only interested in just painting the Clone Commandos as they are, then the video ends sort of here really. So this is how I went about painting them. And as you can see, it's a very, very easy colour scheme to work with. It's effectively just white armour with a little bit of black and a tiniest bit of blue. But if you want to stick around for part 2, where we'll be taking these guys and painting them as the members of Delta Squad, then you want to stick around because we're going to need some more paint. So part 2, we're going to be painting these guys as Delta Squad. So I'm going to start out with Boss because, well, he's the boss. So I've got this squig orange. It's a nice mid-tone orange. Also alongside, I'm going to have a little bit of yellow just to brighten it up as we move along. So got a nice medium-sized brush, well, I'll say medium, smallish. Thin it down with a little bit of water. I'm going to apply a little bit more. And I'm just going to switch over and have a little look exactly where this paint's going. So apply nice layers, just being as careful as we can. Now I'm moving over to a thinner brush and mixed in some yellow, and I'm just going to apply just a couple of highlights. Now something that you can do if you wanted to, I've just mixed in more of the squig orange, and I've thinned it down so it's kind of a half between the highlight and the first colour. And I'm just going to just very thinly just kind of blend in a little bit, so then that way we get our darker tone, we have our highlights, and then now we have this extra little bit going on as well. So next up we have Fixer. So for him we're going to need a nice green. So I've got this mid-tone green, but I'm also going to mix in a bit of black just to deepen it down a little bit, and then we can use just the pure green for kind of that mid-tone and also the highlighting as well. Starting out with a nice medium-sized brush, the same as before. I have thinned it down with some water. I'm going to add in a little bit more of the black, purely because of the previous sort of white layer beneath. It means it's going to be a little bit brighter than we might want it to. And do you know what? That's almost black, so let's add in some more of this green. So now we're going to introduce some more of this moot green into our mixture. I went back over it with a second layer, and this helps just to really smooth it all out and gets rid of any sort of imperfections with your painting, any kind of streaks, that sort of thing. So we're just going to pick out some of the more raised areas before finally using pure moot green just to give it a nice highlight. So next up we have Scorch. So I'm going to pick this guy here and grab our yellow. I'm going to start out with the yellow first, just because it's much easier to go over with the black afterwards than it is the other way around. So I'm just going to thin it down a little bit with some water. And we're going to go for it. The yellow areas are now complete. Just going to go over onto the black areas. So I'm going to use this black contrast paint purely because it goes on really nice and easy and will give me some good coverage. So let's give it a go. Now that the black has been applied and dried, I went back over it a second time just to really sort of smoothen out any little areas that were a little bit on the streaky side. So I'm just going to take this Storm Vermin fur, and just darken it down a tad. And now I'm just going to do a couple of highlights. So now that Scorch has been done, we're going to move over to Sev, and he's got interesting colour scheme. So a lot of it looks like some blood splatters and that sort of thing over the top, which looks awesome. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab this Mephiston red, so it's a nice mid-tone red, and then I'm just going to darken it down with some of this black. Going to want quite a nice deep red because I've got some, I don't know how well it would work, perhaps because it is a paint scheme on the armour rather than actual blood, but I was going to say I've got some blood effects paints that I think would look quite cool. I'm not too sure how well it would go, but I'm just going to go dive ahead anyway. So So that's the team done, so I'm just going to pop them onto the turntable and we'll round out the video here. And so here we are at the end of the video. Not only have I shown you how to paint the Clone Commandos for Star Wars Legion, but also all the members of Delta Squad. It's been really fun to paint these. I mean, white armor can be a bit of a pain, but once you sort of know the method, it's just practice really at the end of the day, and you can get some really fun results. But painting the Delta Squad members was really fun. I had to kind of every now and again look back at some reference pictures just to make sure I was getting it as accurately as I could. So let me know down in the comments below how they turned out. Were they faithful? I hope they were. And also let me know if you like this slightly longer style of painting video, or if you prefer my sort of regular shorter ones. I know that my uploads have been a little bit erratic, but that's because lately I've been having a bit of a step back from painting and just kind of doing some other projects, and then I had the Bad Batch and now these, so they've been a little bit longer to put together and edit and all that sort of stuff. So I really appreciate everyone for sticking around and waiting for the next video to come out. And if you liked it, leave me a like, comment down below which part was your favourite. Let me know which member of Delta Squad is your favourite as well, that'd be awesome. If you wanted to pick up the Clone Commandos for yourselves, then check out my affiliate link down in the comments below for Wayland Games. They're a UK based retailer and they stock all kinds of amazing miniatures, card games, board games and the like. And also, if you're new, subscribing would be massively appreciated. And also I do have a super thanks down below as well, so if you want to consider giving that a click and sort of send some money my way, anything will be hugely appreciated as always, and then I can use that to fund future projects for future videos for everyone to watch along at home or on the bus, on the train, wherever you like to watch my videos. So I'm going to round it out there. Thank you ever so much for watching. Stay safe, stay beautiful, and we'll see you all next time.